Thank you. Good morning. Good morning to the constituents of Laborie and Augier. Good morning, Saint Lucia, at home and across the diaspora. Good morning to my colleagues. An option. Across Laborie and Augier, from Safi Estate to High Road to Alan Louise Street to Dame Paulette Louise Drive, from Mont LeBlanc to Mont Paul, La Grasse and Bannes, La Ho, Majomel, Baye, Irel Estate, La Rivière Petit Bois, Black Bay, Pomme, Catien, Montvert, I hear the same cry. When will they listen to us? We are here at a critical juncture, not simply to speak, but to stand. To stand against crippling oppression, to stand for the dignity of every resident, to stand for a politics rooted not in fear, but in fairness. Because when representatives are shut down, it is you, the people, who are being shut out. That is not democracy. Democracy is not a 5-year event. Democracy is not a billboard. It is not a manifesto. It is not a red jersey. Democracy is your right to be heard every single day. It is your right to ask questions without fear. It is your right to disagree and still be treated with dignity. And when any government begins to rule with fear, silence, and favor, that is not democracy. That is dictatorship with a smile. A lot of us think that government just resides within the halls of parliament or in castries in the city. But it is local government that is national power. So hear me clearly. You want better roads? You want markets to sell your crops? You want drains, clinics, community centers? That is local government. And let's get something straight. That is not a minister doing you a favor. That is your constitutional right. So no more begging for what you already own. No more waiting 5 years to see a man in a red shirt. In Laborie and Augier, we are about to embark on a journey, a new journey. It's called The Bridge, and it is our act of resistance. In just a few weeks, we will open a space called The Bridge. The Bridge stands for one people, one purpose, one helping hand. But it is more than just a building. It is a declaration. And that declaration says, you will not divide Laborie and Augier from Saint Lucia. You will not shame our people into silence. You will not punish voters for their conscience. You see, I've been getting the reports that people can no longer stand on the roadside speaking to me. They can no longer attend events that I am at. And this is what The Bridge is meant to be a catalyst for. The Bridge is where we listen to the unheard, we train the unemployed, we support the single mother, and we equip the young leader. This is where the People's Parliament lives, not on red carpets, but on concrete floors, under concrete roofs, in real conversations. What we will build together. We are not here just to criticize. We are here to construct. And here's what Laborie and Augier will lead Saint Lucia in doing. Village tourism. that centers the villager, from kayak fishing tours to homegrown cuisine, owned and operated by you. A modern fishing sector, both access, storage, safety, education on ocean plastics, because fishers matter. Agri-resilience that feed families, land, equipment, markets. No more excuses. Youth with purpose, football scholarships, track and field scholarships, creative arts, hubs, internships, business coaching, because talent lives and resides in Laborie and Augier. Healthcare and roads for all, not just where the important people live, but where all people live. The People's Parliament must rise again. And I came here today to put my party on notice. Because you see, under the United Workers' Party, the People's Parliament meant accountability, people-powered governance. But under this Labour Party regime, armed with a 15-2 mandate, that promise has been abandoned. That mandate has become a weapon, not to serve, not to unite, not to silence, but to punish and rule. Democracy isn't something we visit every 5 years. It must be lived and breathed daily. The People's Parliament must rise again, not as a slogan, but as a force, not as a party tool, but as a people's movement. And today, instead of putting my party on notice, I am putting the government on notice. You see, orange is the people's signal. Let's be clear. Orange is not the United Workers' Party color. We all know yellow is the code that will right the wrong. But what happens when you merge the yellow of Flabo and you blend it with the red of disenchanted Labour? You get orange, the people's signal. Orange is not about partisanship. It's about conscience. It is Saint Lucia rising. Now, I want to talk a little bit about a myth that has been paraded for the last 4 years. And that is the myth of a mandate. If only 50% of eligible voters turned out in the last election, and of that 50%, just a little over half voted Labour, then that means more than 70% of St. Lucians did not vote for this regime. Let that sink in. 70% of voters did not vote for this government. That's not a landslide. That is a landslip. Driven by apathy, fear, and frustration. And now I speak to those of you who regret that vote out of the 30%ers. You are not bound by shame. You are bound by conscience. This is a country divided by design. We are divided by class, by region, by party, by civil servants against citizens, poor against poorer, victims against victims. This is no coincidence. This is a strategy. While we fight each other, they walk away with our land, our rights, and our future. Let's talk about land disposition by design. And while we're at it, we'll talk about betrayal. Remember Marjorie and Cabot Cove? They wrapped her in red. They paraded her as a symbol of injustice. But once they assumed power, they discarded her story like old campaign flyers. And now, Now, when they're in a position to do better, because make no mistake, they used Cabot Cove, who had done nothing wrong, to wound the last administration. We now have Marie at Pigeon Point, a vendor for over 20 years, removed for a tourism product. We have Bannans Bay about to be bulldozed on the heels of the Prime Minister saying to his citizens that if you are on the land for over 30 years, you will get it pour rien, for nothing. Say that now with a straight face to the people of Bannans Bay. And don't think that Bannans Bay is all, or that's where it stops, that's where it ends. Because I can assure you, when you go on secret meetings, on secret dates, and come up with secret deals, and the deals are secret because we don't know what they entail, Quelas, you are next in line. Make no mistake about it. So what do we have? We have black women being dispossessed and displaced. We have coastal communities being erased and cultural legacy being replaced. This is what you call institutionalized land disposition, and we name it so. And there is also the suppression and erosion of rights. This is all in a democracy. This is happening in Saint Lucia, where we were fooled to believe that we are in a democracy. The Suppression Act allows for police officers to detain citizens without a warrant. That is not policy. That is a constitutional breach. And we in Laborie, we have experienced it firsthand. When an officer detained a young man on his way to work and determined that he could search him just because he felt like it. And another young man, not really understanding, because what's the legal term they use? Potentially senile, came to the defense of his brother. He was shot at close range, in the middle of a crowd. My own husband was standing nearby. Children were walking by. This is what happens when you give carte blanche powers to persons without first securing their training and understanding of the law. Civil servants are afraid to speak. Professionals are muzzled. Citizens feel threatened. And in some cases, threatened, like me. Transparency erodes beneath our feet. This is a government which is out of touch. Out of touch, how you say? Just let's think about fuel. Capped at $16 a gallon, that is $2 more than the regional average. The temporary 2.5% health and security levy, still here. We have an acting commissioner of police under grotesque allegations. The existing commissioner of police has said there is a case. He sent it to the DPP. Radio silence. We have government warehouses empty. Today, there's no flour. Tomorrow, it's no sugar. A Ministry of Commerce in commerce. CIP, Economic Fund, National Lotteries, cloaked in secrecy. That is not leadership. That is not a democracy. That is a show. This is a gin and diner government, posing on corners while the people catch hell. We don't know what they're selling. Maybe it's us. The bridge is our beginning. And very soon, when we open, it will be open to all, for the unheard, the undeserved, and the locked out. And this is not about revenge. It's about renewal, because currently there are citizens who feel that they cannot go to the parliamentary office, an office which is being paid for by the government. In other words, us, the people. So I call for civil action. What do? Do we boycott like the truckers? Do we strike like customs? Do we shut down the country just to be heard? Whatever it takes. That's my answer. Democracy thrives when citizens refuse to be silenced. And we are tired. We are tired of failed ministries, of hope-starved, of rights disappearing before our eyes. You see, our ancestors fought for us to have a voice, dignity, and freedom, and we will not allow that to be stolen. Not when we are the masters. So let this be a turning point. Let July be the tipping point. Let the 70%ers who did not vote for this government rise and demand transparency in land use, fair treatment of workers, and end of abusive police powers, protection of our sovereignty, accountability for our public finances. This is what we call national resistance. This is what we call disruptive revolution. This is the roar of a tired people reclaiming their voice. Our commitment to you, we will not mirror their tactics. We will listen more. We will victimize no one. We will serve everyone. Because true leadership lifts all. Laborie and Augier, the time of fear is over. The time of favoritism is done. The time of silence is up. Let the bridge be our beginning. Let unity be our banner. Let progress be our pledge. May the conscience of the people rise higher than the noise of politics. May God bless Laborie and Augier and every corner of Saint Lucia. Thank you.